Hi, I'm Rene Ruiz, the founder of Nationwide Purchase Loans, and I thank you for joining us today. For those of you that have already subscribed, I am so thankful, and for those of you that have not, I ask that you do in order to support us. Let's go ahead and get started. The relevance has to do with the fact that this settlement was reached in March, so just a few months ago. And as part of the settlement, the NAR had to implement policy and rule changes that go into effect in 2 days on August 17th. Now, back to the lawsuit. It's from November of 2020, and it was a class action lawsuit, and it had two main claims. Number one, that there is a conspiracy to require home sellers to pay the broker representing the buyer of their homes and at an inflated amount. And number two, that it's centered around NAR's adoption and implementation of a rule that requires all brokers to make a blanket, non-negotiable offer of buyer-broker compensation. It's known as the buyer-broker commission rule. Fact is that there was a settlement, and in exchange for release of liability, NAR agreed to pay $418 million over a period of 4 years, and through the very important rule and policy changes that we're going to go over today. So what are the changes? Well, there's a lot. I made a decision to go over the main three things that are changing and how they impact buyers, agents, and anyone in our industry. And that's because there's just so much information out there, and not a lot of it is going to make a big difference to a lot of people. So here we go. Number one, there will be no offers of compensation allowed on any MLS listing. This does not mean that the seller can't pay a commission for the buyer's agent. It just can't be marketed or put on the MLS listing. It has to be negotiated outside of the listing. Number two, written listing agreements must disclose that commissions are negotiable and not set by law. And this is nothing that is new. I have known this for a long time. A lot of people in our industry have known it for a long time, but clearly consumers needed to know, and it needed to be made clear to them. Number three, buyer compensation agreements are now mandatory. And in my opinion, this is going to be the most impactful. For that reason, I'm going to take a closer look at the standardized form that we're going to be using here in California. Here is a copy. This is the California Association of Realtors Buyer Representation and Broker Compensation Agreement. And what this agreement basically means is that as a buyer, when you are presented with one of these and you sign it, you are agreeing that your agent is entitled to a commission if they help you find a home. And you guys are going to outline all the requirements, the areas, and the amounts. But the most important thing you need to remember is that now that the sellers are not automatically going to pay a commission to your agent, you're agreeing to pay that commission if you can't make it work. Again, this really doesn't change very much. You can go to look at a house from an MLS listing and then ask for a seller credit to cover your agent's commission. So in reality, for people that are paying attention and know how things work, nothing has really changed. By the way, that commission that was being offered on MLS, it was negotiable from day one. You could have walked in there and your agent could have gave up a portion of it, gave it back to the seller, gave it to you towards closing costs. So really nothing has changed other than this is going to be a standard process for buyers that are looking to purchase a home. So here's a couple of the important features you need to look for. Number one, there should be some sort of maximum period for representation. In California, it's going to be 3 months unless you're a corporation. Number two, there's different types of representation. There's exclusive representation, and then there's non-exclusive. And if you check off the box that says it's going to be exclusive, then you can only work with this agent. If you go non-exclusive, you could potentially have multiple agents helping you look for a home. But I'm telling you, that's probably going to be pretty messy. Here's a couple more things to look at. The amount or rate of real estate commissions is not to be fixed by law. It is not required. This is generally a disclosure because you're about to go into the section where you disclose the amount of the compensation that your agent is about to agree to, or that you're about to agree to. And I guess the reminder is timely because you need to remember that it's all negotiable. Maybe your agent has pre-filled the form. That doesn't mean that you have to sign it. It doesn't mean that that's the amount that you have to go with. There should be a cancellation process or some sort of notice on what you need to do and what the time period is for cancellation. And there should be a section for other terms. These are contracts. You can add clauses, you can add contingencies, you can add requirements, and it's likely that your agent is going to do that. So if you have any thoughts on protections you'd like to add, this is where they would go. There should also be sections that outline very clearly what the obligations and authorizations are for the broker, as well as the buyer, including disclosure of any other buyer compensation agreements that the buyer has already agreed to. Again, it's about transparency and it should go both ways. Thank you for those of you that have watched. Thank you for joining us and for supporting us. You can think of any other topics that you'd like me to speak on, please contact me. I'll be happy to oblige. Thank you for your time, and make it a great day.